Hello everyone to my YouTube channel. My name is Nilesh Dudatra and this video is talk about one-to-one and one-to-many relationship. So we will do this task by using one example of Spring Boot and we will use JPA and H2 database. So let's start with the one simple example. So right click the new and Spring Starter project and let me take the name of the project is Spring one to many, and I want to put the package name also same, that is a Spring one to many. Next, and yes, I want to use H2 database, JPA, and third one that is a web, and finish. Okay, after that all the packages are import in my Maven repository. Okay, after that I want to create one package. The name of the package, that is a right click on the my package and package the name of the package, that is a model. And I want to create one more package, the name of the package, that is it, for example repository. And one more package, that is a controller, so it's required to execute the program, so right click then controller. Okay, let's start with the model. So for the this task, I'm selecting one name of the class, that is a student. And second one, I want to create one more class, that is a for example project. So I'm start with the student. I'm creating one variables, private long sid, then private string student name, and private then string then sct. Okay, after that I want to take this class in my database, so entity. I want to add one pack, add notation, that is a entity, and at the rate id, this one is id. And I want this auto generated, so generate value in the bracket strategy is equal to as a generate type then identity. And after that I want to create a getter setter for the all the variables of this class, so right click then source and getter setter, select all and generate. So this one is a getter setter. So this one is a student class. Now I am starting with the project. So same as it is, I want to this class inside my database, so project as in my data table in my database, so entity. Next one is a private. I want to create one variable, that is a long, and project id. After that private string project name. And if you want to take one more variable, private string then which language you use, so p language. Okay, I want to this as an id. And this one is a generate at the rate generated value in the bracket strategy is equal to identity. Yes, that's it. And yes, of course the getter setter is there, so right click then source getter setter and select all, generate getter setter. So up to this, now I want to create a repository for this both class, so right click then I'm creating interface over here. And this interface of student repository, I want to add JPA repository with this class. So this class, this student, I am start with the student class, student, and the ID, that is a data type of long. Okay, after that I want to create the next one, that is a project interface, project repository, and I want to add same JPA repository with this. So over here, instead of T, I want to put project repository project. This one is for the class of project, and ID, that is a long. Okay, this one is about the repository. I am closing this two repository, I don't require right now. So after that, I want to add one controller. So the name of the controller, that is a home controller. Okay, inside this controller, I want to put. Okay, I right now I don't require the controller, so I'm directly put my code inside this Spring main class. I want this class is implement by command line runner, and yes, of course, I want to implement one override method, that is a run. Okay, because I require this run method, because whenever I'm running this Spring application, before that I want to whatever the operation, insert or delete, whatever that I want to do it before to execute, and whatever the information is put done by this data, this Spring application is we can see in the console app, portion. So for that we have to connect with the database also. So we have to change the inside the property file, right? So application.property file. So for that we have to start with the property.application file. So application property file, it's in a source, main, and resource. I want to create Spring, then dot h2 dot console dot enabled is equal to true. After that, Spring dot data source dot platform, that is a h2 itself, and Spring dot data source dot url, that I need to put, that is a jdbc, then colon h2, then colon mem, then colon and English. So after that, whatever the query executed, I want to see in my console portion, right? So console window. So I want to put spring.jpa dot and so SQL is equal to true. So this one is the application.property file. Now I'm closing this file, and I want to put the some code to insert the information inside the student and as well as inside the project. So now I am creating one variable private, then student repository, student repository, and second one I want to create private project repository. Okay, now I want to insert some information. So I'm creating one object, student, and stud student object, and new, and student, and inside this I want to put, if I am having a constructor, parameterized constructor, then I can directly put over here. So let me create one parameterized constructor inside this student. So right click, and source, and create a parameterized constructor and generate. So this one is a parameterized constructor, same as it is I want to create inside the project. So right click and source and parameterized constructor. So it's fine. Again, I want to put the value inside the parameterized constructor. So for example, Nilesh, and the name of the city, that is I think city, right? So last one, that is a city. So I will put a Rajkot, and same for the I want to create a project. So project object is equal project is equal to new, then project. Inside the project I want to put the ID first, then the name of the project, for example student management, and after that the technology which I use, I think technology is there, right? So, okay, language is there, so I'm putting the language Java, right? And now if I want to save this information, so simply I just put student repository dot save, then the object of this student, right? So student, copy and paste for same for the project project. And okay, to remove this I want to put yes, instead of long I want to put long, and inside this constructor also, and in the getter setter. Yes, one more change, I want that I want to create a constructor over here. So right click, then source, and create the constructor. Yes, generate. And inside the student also I have to create a without parameter constructor. So right click and generate. So now what I want to create this to repository as a auto wire, and for this in the project also AutoWire. Okay, fine. So this one is a these two student and project file. Let me run this code. Right click and run Spring Boot application. So inside the console we can see the output, and yes, you can see at first this two table has been created. So okay, and two values, two row has been inserted. First one is in the student and second one is inside the project. So okay, now let me check this inside the table. So inside the student, so there is a one row, and second one that is inside the project. So yes, so these two table are individual. There is no any kind of relationship having a student having some project, or project having a student, such kind of things. Now I want the each student having each project, means one-to-one relationship in between the student and project, right? So I want to create some change inside the student class. So I want that student having a ID of the project, right? So the student table like this, student ID and student name and student city, and plus one more ID, that is a student project ID, to STUPRO ID, right? So we can indicate that this one is a relationship between the student and project. Okay, so for that I have to create one column over here, private, then the ID of the project. So project, and so let me take this one is a one to one relationship. So and plus I want some add some property cascade is equal to cascade type all, and next one I want to indicate that I want this column name should be there for the joining these two table. So join table, I want name of this column, I mean inside the table, that should be stu pro and id. So this column inside the student indicate that the student and project relationship. Okay, and yes, of course, I have to create the getter and setter for the project. So getter and setter for the project, and yes, this one is generated, and cut this and put at the end. So that's fine. Let me check the code. I have to just add this code inside the student table and put the getter setter for the uh, student and project. Yes, one more change I required over here, that should be student dot set project of project object, right? So this also required. So I have to change just two in two places. First one inside the student.java file, I create this code as project, and second thing I have to create a getter and setter, and inside the this main function I have to create one line. So let me execute the program and watch what happened. Is there a relationship between these two table or not? Okay, so okay, fine. You can see the one column added inside the student table, and according to that, the row has been inserted inside the student table. So this one is a student project ID. So this one is a one-to-one relationship. Okay, first let me check inside the H2 database also. So let me check the student table first, right? So one Rajkot Nilesh and STUPRO, that is a one, right? So because one ID is for the project, and let me check the project table. So that's fine. So both are working well. Now I want this. For example, now I am changing the relationship between student and project. So that may be one too many, means one student having a multiple project, right? So for that, what I have to change inside the this code. So let me change this relationship to one to many, right? So one to many, according to that, I have to require the packages import, and don't require one to one relationship anymore. And yes, so this one is the first change what I have did, right? And one to many, then if one student having a multiple project, then I should put over here the list of the project. So list of, this one is a from java.util, right? So list dot project, I have to put like this. This one is a syntax of the list, and now I want to put new, then array list of like this. So this one is a array list. Okay, so according to that, I have to change the getter and setter. So I am removing this, and again I would like to right click and source, then getter setter, and creating for the project. So you can see the getter and setter for the project. I want, yes, it's okay, fine. Now I have to change according to the in the main. So as usual, this one is a multiple project, right? So for that I have to change according to that. So now uh, what I have to change, I have to take more than one project, right? So let me at first create a more than one project. Let me create two, and this one is a third ID. So this one is a, let me take a hospital, hospital management system, and this one is a, let me take medical management system. This one is a in JSP, and this one is a, let me consider that is a .NET. So this one is a first project, second and third. Now I want this project, this three project, the student name that is a Nilesh having all these three project, right? So Nilesh is working on these three project and these three individual languages. So for that I have to add inside the student. So get project dot add the name of the project, that is project 1, and I have to put 2 and this one is a 3. Okay, and yes, I have to remove this line. So I just require to store the object of the student, right? Now, and yes, I don't require also these things. So remove this repository. Okay, okay, this one is a one to many, so I have to change inside the student. First one is a relationship one to many, and put the list of the project. According to that I have to initialize by with the array list and put the change the getter setter, and according to that I have to create a more than one project over here, and this project is assigned to the student object, and removing the uh, project repository as well as the save statement over here. So let me execute the program, and let me check this the output of this program. So re-execute the program, rebuild the program, and yes, output. Okay, so as usual, project and student table has been created, and as usual, the project, created, column created, and according to that, all the insert statement has been created over here. So let me check the output of the program inside the database. So I am click on the student table at first. So inside the student there is a one, this row, and let me check the project. Yes, there is a, the student pro ID is there, right? So this one is a one to many. So this one ID is of the, student, right? And this there are different platform, and different project are there to creating this. So there are two tables, and as you see, this one is a one to many relationship between the project and student. So that's it, and thank you for watching the video.